Sir, I suppose you caught the last part of our conversation with Yusek Malaluan. We were asking about the many alternate narratives that have been emerging over the last 50 years, but in particular over the last decade, about martial law and the Marcos era. And you were asking him about what could be the reasons for all these alternatives gaining ground, because they appear to have gained ground, especially in the last 5 to 10 years. Uh, if you don't mind, sir, we'd like to ask you from your point of view, po, as somebody who went through those dark days and survived it, what do you think? Where do you think we've dropped the ball? Why so many narratives that are coming out?
Well, because in our history books, and these are the history books that you see on grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, etc., there's hardly any mention of martial law. It seems that the Marcos people have quietly removed all references to martial law. And so there's hardly any bad reference or real reference to martial law. And that's not good, because people will not be able to imagine what really happened during martial law.
How could that happen when the Marcoses have not really been well in power? Of course, there's one in the Senate, there's one in Congress, and so on and so forth.
No.
It hasn't been a Marcos.
You don't have to be in power. You just have to have.
So how do you change the textbooks?
You reach the textbook through the printer, not through the authorities, because the authorities are just too busy to read what's happening in the textbook. So you go to the printer, and it's the printers who are at fault here. They totally whitewash everything, and it's hard because you don't notice these things. But when you take a look at the entire view of the grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, grade 7 history books, you'll see that they hardly mention martial law. So,
but it cannot be the. I mean, I know what you're saying, that's you can essentially circumvent the authorities. But I guess one question is, who among the authorities is accountable for watching over, in this case, the printers?
No one is really accountable for that, because it's not an important part of our curriculum. See, so it is just a peripheral issue. So no one's concentrating on that. They're concentrating on the issues that have to do with study, not issues that have to do with history.
Now, how do you reverse that? I mean, how do you compel the system to reverse itself on that point? And what will it take? I mean, I don't presume that legislation is always the
no. You don't need legislation for this. You just need somebody to go in there, like the Secretary of Education, for example, and just tell them, all right, you start referring to martial law in this chapter and this chapter. That's all. That's very simple. That's very simple.
I mean, again, don't get me wrong, sir. Ako rin, takot din ako sa legislation. No? I mean, but doesn't that also politicize, I mean, that position, that power of assigning somebody, punta ka doon. Now I'm worried about in the next administration. Who is that person in the next administration, especially if it's going to be that simple?
Well, it is that simple, unfortunately. It is that simple. So when you see this guy, Calypso Go, the fellow who's always been complaining about
errors.
He is the one, for example, who could see that it has been done that way. And he is the one, perhaps, who can help correct it if they bring him into the loop. But they don't bring him into the loop. Now, the problem there is that in the printing of the materials for the Department of Education, it is cornered by about 70% by a certain group. Okay? And that certain group has been making tons of money. And that certain group will also not, shall we say,
age.
He will not try to disappoint anybody. whether it's Marcos or Aquino or anybody, they're always try to be neutral, but they always want to keep their monopoly of the printing. So if we can, if you could just look into that, you will see that that is the case.